Hello everybody and welcome to the 10th round of the 1993 season for the German Grand Prix here on F1 Challenge. We head to the infamous Hockenheim circuit, a track with seriously long straights and is often regarded as the fastest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar. If you missed the last episode at the British Grand Prix, make sure to go and check that one out before watching this one, as it was our home Grand Prix with several interesting developments happening throughout the race. Going into this round, Damon Hill holds a comfortable 12-point margin ahead of his teammate Alain Prost, while a good run of races puts Michael Schumacher in a possible position for a late title charge. Martin Brundle will be hoping to carry on his great form after scoring his first podium of the season last time out. Meanwhile, we remain in 15th in the Drivers' Championship with 2 points, one ahead of our teammate, while Larrousse remain in 9th place in the Constructors. The qualifying objective returns to the regular goal of beating my teammate Philippe Alliot, while the race objective is to finish in the top 10. Now let's head into the news of the week. Hello and welcome to the German edition of the News of the Week, where we start off at McLaren, who have opted for a driver change with the underperforming Michael Andretti being dropped in favour of Finnish young gun Mika Häkkinen. The Finn has had previous experience in F1, showing pace beyond his years with Lotus. He now signs a contract to keep him at McLaren until the end of the 1995 season, and now that Häkkinen is now in a front-running car, it'll be interesting to see his potential against one of the greatest in the sport in the form of Ayrton Senna. Michael Schumacher signs a contract extension with Benetton to keep him at the Italian outfit until the end of the 1995 season. Schumacher has firmly established himself as one of the sport's best despite his young age, and Benetton aren't willing to let the German go, signing a long-term contract. Flavio Briatore, the team principal, has stated that, quote, "Michael is a special sort of talent and he can win championships with us here." Onto the upgrades now, where Williams bring yet another upgrade, fetching a new floor allowing for more airflow towards the diffuser. This should help them greatly around the upcoming rounds such as Hungary and Portugal. Renault also bring an update to their engine, which is expected to improve their power by 10 horsepower. This should greatly improve Williams and Ligier's performances on the immensely long straights at the Hockenheim ring. Ferrari aim to improve their weight by fetching a new weight-efficient suspension arm, as well as a new engine cover. This should also help with their drag levels and give them a solid edge in Germany. Minardi also go down the drag reduction route with a new Germany spec front and rear wing. That's all for the news of the week. Now let's head into qualifying. Welcome to qualifying day for the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheim circuit. I'm hoping that we can possibly have a good result here, as the practice time suggested that we could be in a fight for a possible top 10 start for the Grand Prix. Alain Prost currently at the top of the timesheets, about 15 minutes in. And the only thing we necessarily have to worry about isn't really the pace of the car, but more the issue of reliability. Of course, we had our first engine failure of the season last time out in Silverstone, and if there's any chance of getting an engine failure, it has to be here, as we make our way through the first corner and start to get a slight amount of slipstream on the footwork ahead. So we're going to try and use this to maximum potential that we can. And now through into the third sector, we've caught up to the footwork ahead. I don't actually know which one it is, but through the final corner they're kind of holding us up, so it's not going to be as useful as what we originally thought it would be. A first lap puts us 3 seconds off the pace at 1:48.3 and lines us up in 14th provisionally. But now we're a lot closer to the footwork. Hopefully we can just try and just get past them while we're also on a lap, but the problem is they're also on a lap, so it's going to be quite difficult to get through and also keep the place. Picking up a nice slipstream here, all the way up to 290 kilometers an hour. 292 was the maximum number there, as we head onto the brakes and into the first chicane for the second time. So we're doing 2 runs, it would seem, and we're 2 tenths up through the first sector, but as we head into the end of the second sector, we're really starting to be held up once again, so hopefully we can try and get past into the entrance to the stadium section. In the slipstream now, we're down on our time, and this is going to be quite a risky move. We're not really going to have the line going into it. So we just back off and we just pit at the end of that lap. So we only did one qualifying run, all things considered. And a cheeky little drift onto the grass through the pit entry. So, things you love to see. I'm hoping that I have possibly solved the issue with... Oh, that's Mark Blondell. You can't park there, mate. I'm hoping that I solved the issue with last race with the pit problem with Andrea de Cesaris and Alain Prost. I'm hoping that's all fixed now for this race, as we now head into my last lap in the qualifying session. And across the line, that's an amazing amount of improvement. 1.1 seconds, including 6/10 in the final sector alone. It puts us in the top 10 for now. And I decide to bank this halfway through the session. It'll be interesting to see who will beat it as we head into the race. Hello and welcome to race day here at the Hockenheim ring, where once again Alain Prost takes pole position ahead of his Williams teammate. A Williams front row lockout as Prost claims pole by 0.4 of a second. Ayrton Senna completes the top three, just squeezing in there into the 1:45 45s ahead of Michael Schumacher, who completes the second row. Martin Brundle completes the top five with another brilliant qualifying from the Ligier driver ahead of McLaren debutant Mika Hakkinen. A promising start for him on his first race for the British outfit. Jean Alesi in the first Ferrari starts from 7th ahead of Riccardo Patrese in the second Benetton, completing the fourth row. Berger and Blundell on row 5, followed by myself and Rubens Barrichello on row 6. Carl Wendlinger completes the top 13 in the Sauber and proves that the engine upgrades from last race weren't no fluke to their performance. Derek Warwick in 14th completes the 7th row ahead of the second Sauber of Yerky Arvoleto. Christian Fittipaldi in the Minardi starts from 16th ahead of Aguri Suzuki in 17th in the second footwork. Emmanuel Naspetti, another decent qualifying from him, sees him complete the 9th row. Not a good qualifying, however, though, from Lotus, as Johnny Herbert manages only 19th fastest and 2,000ths ahead of his countryman Eddie Irvine in the second Jordan, who completes the top 20. It's a season's worst for my teammate Philippe Alliot, who qualifies in a lowly 21st position ahead of the first Tyrrell of Andreas de Cesaris. The second Tyrrell is up next of Ukio Katayama, followed by the 3 Italians of Zanardi, Bedoya and Capelli. It's a one-stop strategy today, stopping on lap 20 and then going to the end of a 45-lap race, as we now make our way round the final couple of corners on our reconnaissance lap. And I do have to say, it is slightly damp out here today, with some drivers going for intermediates and some drivers going for the dry tyres. We have opted for the dries. It'll be interesting to see which strategy plays out best as we await the lights for the 1993 German Grand Prix. 26 lights, 5 drivers, that works. The lights are green and there's racing to be seen. It's a fairly decent start against Marc Blundell as we're heading towards turn 1 of the Ferraris. That'll be Gerhard Berger looking fairly sheepish as they head in towards turn 1. He goes wide and allows Marc Blundell to get up into 9th place. Picking up a little bit of a slipstream. We're falling a bit under pressure here from Rubens Barrichello's Jordan as we head towards the first chicane. It's an amazingly long run as we head in towards the first true braking zone. Unfortunately, we keep the place of 11th as we head into sector 2, and here comes Barrichello. He's got a great run on us now, looking towards the inside, and he picks up the place, almost turns in on us. There's contact between the two of us as we head through the chicane, but he has gained that position, and it's a good move there from the Brazilian of Rubens Barrichello. And that's Damon Hill, championship leader Damon Hill, retiring on the first lap. Gearbox problems, you could certainly hear it there, and that is absolute misery for Damon Hill, who has been gaining quite a bit of momentum ahead of his teammate Alain Prost, and he is going to be out before this race even begins. As we head in towards the stadium section, a load of drivers there getting stuck behind Damon Hill, and we pick off a couple of places. Here's Emmanuel Naspetti further back, and he has the same issue, another gearbox problem for another driver, and Naspetti will have his first retirement of the season. Alain Prost leads the way. No, he does not. He peels into the pits. He was on the intermediate tyres, and as such, Ayrton Senna leads the way at the end of the first lap, ahead of the second place, Martin Brundle. Once again, Martin Brundle clearly outperforming the performance of that Ligier. Michael Schumacher completes the top 3 with Hakkinen in 4th, Alesi in 5th, and Riccardo Patrese completing the top 6. We're up to 7th place and have gained 4 places off that start. Riccardo Patrese now putting pressure on Jean Alesi. Maybe the French Sicilian has got a heavy fuel load, but either way, whether he does or not, they are certainly pulling away from us at a rate of knots, and we're also being caught by the much faster Marc Blundell. Ayrton Senna pulling away at the front as well, setting fastest lap after fastest lap as we head on to lap 4. By the end of lap 5 though, the gap to Riccardo Patrese is almost 5 seconds as it stands, as Marc Blundell is also all over the back of us. As we head in towards the end of lap 5, we can see once again that Marc Blundell is going to be it's going to be a matter of time when he gets past rather than if. He's got a run here into the stadium section on my right hand side. We're coming to a view there he is. We'll try and hold it round the outside, side by side for the 2 British drivers. There's a bit of contact, but we keep the place for now. Marc Blundell can't quite get through, but like I say, it's only a matter of time. Obviously Renault fetching that engine upgrade for both Williams and Ligier, and now look at the run that Marc Blundell has got. It's a fantastic run out the first corner for the Briton, and he makes easy work of us to get himself up into 7th position. We're getting the slipstream though, picking up the speed behind the Ligier, going back down the inside. The amazingly long straights allows us to pull off a move like this, and we're back ahead of Marc Blundell, now under pressure later on in the lap, and we are certainly losing quite a bit of time to the cars ahead with this battling, and that's going to lose us a lot of time spinning around like that, taking too much of the grass on the inside in the damp conditions, and it's going to allow Marc Blundell and Rubens Barrichello to sneak through, and we're down into 9th place. Now we're falling into the clutches of the Finn of Yicky Arvaleto behind. Will the Finn make a move into the chicane? He's going to try it. We've gone a little bit deep though, and he's going to get the switchback on us, and we lose yet another place, so we're down to 10th place. But for how much longer? We're in the slipstream now of the Sauber driver, And will we be able to make back that place as we head into the furthest part of the section away from the start-finish line? Up the inside, Yarvoleto affords us the room, and we're back up into 9th place. There's quite a train of cars behind now as well, so we really need to get a move on if we want to catch back up to Rubens Barrichello. I think we've got the pace on him, but the problem is that we're constantly being attacked by half-looks by Jyrki Yarvoleto, and it's ruining my confidence into braking zones and turning points, as I don't want to make contact with the Sauber. Ayrton Senna then boxes on the end of lap 9, so that's a very early stop. He's certainly on a 3-stop strategy, and Michael Schumacher, as such, takes the lead after overtaking Martin Brundle. He'll lead the way ahead of the Ligier driver as Jyrki Yarvoleto once again, there's another battle in towards the first chicane. He brakes a tiny bit earlier and tries and plots the same move on a switchback. I was wise to it that time round and keep the place. Michael Schumacher, the next lap as Ayrton Senna pitted, is into the box, lap 10. So he might also be on a 3-stop strategy, so it could be a straight shootout in pace between the Brazilian and the German. And as such, Martin Brundle in the Ligier takes the lead, but is under immense pressure behind from Mika Hakkinen, who's up to 2nd place on his McLaren debut. It's a great start to his McLaren career for the young Finn. Meanwhile, we've got another Finn on our tail. Once again, Jyrki Yarvoleto will not leave us alone. He's getting past us as we head in towards the first chicane. And can we make a way back through? And that's Senna! Senna is out of the race! And that's a 4th retirement in a row for Ayrton Senna. How unlucky can one be? He retires on lap 12. An almost certain chance of victory, once again going begging for the McLaren driver. We make our way up into 9th place, and now we're challenging Jyrki Yarvoleto into the 2nd chicane, picking up the slipstream, picking up the straight line speed, but we don't get close enough to outbrake him into the chicane. And that's going to be us in 9th place for now. Hopefully we can stick in his slipstream and he'll carry us along. Wait, that's Martin Brundle! Martin Brundle's off to the side of the road! Martin Brundle is also out! Just a couple of corners later, after Ayrton Senna retired, that's another engine failure! And as such, Mika Hakkinen takes the lead on his McLaren debut. Unbelievable scenes. That's Jean Alesi right behind him as well. So maybe the Ferrari could get involved for victory here today. Absolutely crazy stuff on lap 12. And now we've got a great slipstream chance on Jyrki Yarvoleto as I head into the stadium section once again. Up the inside of the Finn, and we're now up into 7th place. So Barrichello, that battle with Barrichello now is for a point in this race. Mika Hakkinen boxes from the race lead, and as such, Jean Alesi now takes the lead. A crazy amount of people leading this race across just a handful of laps, as we also see Mark Blundell into the box for the first time of this race, lap 12. Jyrki Yarvoleto now looking to the inside once again of the first chicane. It's just a repeat every single lap of Jyrki Yarvoleto. Absolutely relentless pressure to try and get through and try and pull away at the front. But once again, in the slipstream of the Sauber, it's a titanic battle for the minor positions between me and the Finn. Looking towards the inside of the final chicane on the big loop, and we are once again ahead of Jyrki Yarvoleto. Hopefully now we can leave him in our mirrors, and we do by the end of lap 17. He's into the box, I believe, for the first time in this race. Is he? I think so. Yes, he is. So now we finally have some clear air to try and challenge Rubens Barrichello. It's about time, as Alain Prost, who boxed on that first lap for the dry tyres and essentially fell right to the back, is now overtaking Derek Warwick. I believe this is for 7th place, which is the position directly behind us. And Alain Prost is certainly going to be a factor in this race. There he is, 15 seconds back is the Frenchman, as we'll be soon be in for our pit stop, as is Jean Alesi on lap 20, in for what I believe is his one and only stop in this race. Michael Schumacher will take the lead, but Michael, obviously, stopping so early on, is certainly doing a 3-stop strategy. So it's going to be Jean Alesi versus Michael Schumacher for the race victory. If you told John Lacey at the start of the race, who started 7th by the way, that he'd be fighting for victory, he probably would have bitten your hand off. Anyway, as we head into the pit lane for the first and only time in this race from 6th position, hoping for a decent stop here as we caught right up to the back of Rubens Barrichello. 25 laps of fuel going in, 118 litres, 12-second stop, obviously going to be one of the longer stops of our season. And we will come out in a fairly comfortable 10th place, just ahead of my favourite battle partner, Yuki Arvoleto. Lap 22, and Michael Schumacher heads into the box for the first time in this race. And Mika Hakkinen now rounds the final corner, and he will now take the lead of the race once again. As on the halfway point, Mika Hakkinen leads the way. He'll be pitting at the end of this lap, however, as that's Riccardo Patrese. No, that's Michael Schumacher, sorry, in 2nd place, followed by Jean Alesi. There's Riccardo Patrese in the 2nd Benetton, and that's Alain Prost down in 5th, and then Gerhard Berger and Mark Blundell together in that battle for 6th. Lap 23, and Aguri Suzuki's race is going to come to an end. A promising race for the Japanese driver, but a gearbox failure is going to put pay to the end of his race. Yuki Arvoleto, once again, a great run out of turn 1 is going to put us under a lot of pressure now as we head into the first chicane. I thought, rather than battle him so much, I thought I'd just try and stick in his slipstream, as I think he's on a lighter fuel load now, but I get spooked under braking and he just pulls away by 6/10. So that was a brilliant idea, Jaden. You've already lost slipstream to the car that you wanted to stick with. Carl Wendlinger pitted behind in the intervening laps, as has Derek Warwick, as we now make our way into the top 10. Mark Blundell pits on lap 25, putting us into 9th. Gerhard Berger on lap 27 pits as well, so we're now up into 8th. So yeah, we're looking, there's a possible chance here that we could score a point if there's chaos in front for us. There's lap 28, and Yuki Arvoleto is well and truly up the road and pushing too hard there into the 2nd chicane. Somehow we don't spin the car and we keep it in a straight line. There goes Yuki Arvoleto on the next lap, lap 29, and he's ahead now of Rubens Barrichello. But of course, I'm certain that he will have to stop again in this race. As you can see there, Martin Brundle's very sad looking Ligier could have won this race today, Martin Brundle, and he's certainly looking good in terms of the past couple of races. And that's Gerhard Berger, who was closing in on us at a rate of knots. We were going to have to require to keep him behind if we wanted any chance of points, but that's going to make our life a lot easier. Gerhard Berger out of this race with suspension problems, as Yuki Arvoleto finally boxes at the end of lap 30, and we're now up into 7th position and only 3 seconds away from the points, unless Mark Blundell can also put us under pressure for this final point. We'll see what Mark Blundell is able to do. He is catching us quite quickly, but we are pushing extremely hard. There's barely any time in it between me and Barrichello, and that's way too quick into the stadium section, and we've lost the front wing. Oh, and that's a absolutely devastating mistake to make. At the time I was very frustrated with myself, but with the gaps as tight as they were between me and Barrichello, I had to push that hard if I needed to catch the Jordan before the end of this race, and that's essentially going to rule us out of any chance of scoring any points. And we're going to come in for an unscheduled stop, a front wing change, and a change of the tyres as well while we're at it. And it's a 14-second stop, and it's going to drop us way down the order, behind Carl Wendlinger, maybe even behind the 2nd Jordan of Eddie Irvine, who, to be fair, he's not had a good run of races lately. Obviously his contract's locked up until the end of 1994 with Jordan, but he's struggling so far in the past couple of races, as Michael Schumacher on lap 33 boxes for the 3rd and final time in this Grand Prix. Coming in, and now coming through the final corner, is Jean Alesi, who takes the lead with 12 laps to go, has every chance of winning his first Grand Prix of his Formula 1 career. As Eddie Irvine boxes on the lap prior to this one. And now we're trying to catch up to Derek Warwick. We are catching him fairly quickly, and we could have a chance of getting a sneaky little 9th place before the race is finished. As there was a car behind. That's Christian Fittipaldi. Yeah, the car directly behind us having a problem. Some sort of error or mistake or some sort of mechanical problem with Fittipaldi's car. There's contact between him and Capelli. Is his car... Oh, and that's Schumacher! Michael Schumacher's crashed into Fittipaldi! And Irvine! Unbelievable scenes! And Michael Schumacher, who was running in 2nd place, is now going to require a new front wing. And it's now an absolutely perfect chance for Jean Alesi to win his first race of his Formula 1 career. Here goes Alain Prost, now in the battle for 2nd position with Mika Häkkinen. Häkkinen holds it round the outside. And now Häkkinen's staring down the barrel of scoring a podium in his first ever race for McLaren. Unbelievable scenes here. At the end of lap 40, we're now on the back of Derek Warwick, and we can possibly try and get through for 9th place. As you can see there with the steering wheel though, we are slightly handicapped as the suspension's slightly broken from the crash that we had, of course, in the stadium section a couple of laps ago. As we're now all over the back of Derek Warwick, going on to lap 42. As you can see how much time we gain through the final 2 corners. Look how much later we brake. Oh, clipping the grass though is not going to help us out, and we're going to lose a bit of time to Derek Warwick. As rounding the final corner for the final time, it's going to be Jean Alesi taking his first victory of his Formula 1 career. A magnificent result for him and Ferrari. Meanwhile for us, the race is not over until the checkered flag. We've got one more lap to make it past Derek Warwick, looking to try and get in his slipstream. Häkkinen holds off Prost to take 2nd place on his McLaren debut, but that's not what we care about right now. We're in the slipstream, 285 kilometers an hour, heading up to 290 almost. As we pull out the slipstream, look down the inside, Derek Warwick brakes later, but we're more confident on the turn-in, and we take 9th place away from the Briton. So can we hold it going into the next chicane? He's going to have now the slipstream back on us and maybe challenge us into the next chicane. Can he make any form of a move? He's going for it. He's going for it. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It's going to be Warwick, but we hold it round the outside. We squeeze him onto the grass and we keep the place. Warwick loses momentum, and that's going to be us claiming a 9th place, rounding the final corner, but it's just a race of what could have been for us. 9th place in the end. So then it's Jean Alesi who claims victory, a first in his Formula 1 career and a first for Ferrari in almost 3 years. Mika Häkkinen was able to hold off Alain Prost in that battle for 2nd and claim 2nd place on his debut for McLaren. Riccardo Patrese and Michael Schumacher, the 2 Benettons, up next, followed by Rubens Barrichello, who gets his first points, I believe, since Donington Park. Yuki Yavaleto just misses out on the points, with Brundle, myself and Warwick completing the top 10. Wendlinger, De Cesaris, Alliot, Zanardi and Herbert all having fairly anonymous races really, with Irvine in 16th after losing his front wing, falls down the order quite a bit. Ukya Katayama, Ivan Capelli and Luca Badoa had a gearbox failure on the final lap, and he is classified as 3 laps down. 19 finished or classified, 7 retired, with Fittipaldi, Berger, Suzuki, Brundle, Senna, a big name in that, Naspetti and Damon Hill, the championship leader, all out of the race. What does that mean then for the Drivers' Championship? It means that once again the gap between Hill and Prost is now just 8 points, 56 ahead of 48. Michael Schumacher claiming a couple of points there to move even further ahead of Ayrton Senna, with Jean Alesi moving all the way up into 5th place in the driver's standings, 2 points ahead of his Austrian teammate Gerhard Berger. Blundell, Patrese, Brundle and Häkkinen now completes the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. Meanwhile for us, we move down to 16th in the Drivers' Championship. The Constructors look like this. Williams now lead Benetton by 59 points after the Italian team gained 1 point over the British outfit. Ferrari, with that amazing victory, now move up to 3rd ahead of McLaren. Ligier complete the top 5. Meanwhile for us, we remain in 9th place in the Constructors. Thank you ever so much for watching the German Grand Prix. It was a crazy race, but yeah, it was a very fun one to drive and a one to watch as well. That was quite a fun one. The next one on the calendar is the Hungarian Grand Prix, so make sure to check that one out when it releases. That's going to be all from me in today's video, and goodbye.